exciting day today. I'm just on my way down to do a small interview with a chap called Alejandro, who is the Honorary British Consul for Almeria. He's an economist and he's the director of a three-generation company called Grupo Salvador, who have offices in Almeria, Albox and also down in Oaxaca. The whole idea of the interview is to try and throw some light on the total and utter confusion which is surrounding purchasing a property in Spain now, with the changes that have come into place since Brexit. What I'm going to do is concentrate purely on people who are wanting to purchase a property in Spain and move to it, if you like, on a full-time basis. Of course, lots of people come to Spain to buy wonderful holiday homes, but after Brexit, it's relatively unchanged, the system, and they can still do that fairly easily. Really, the people or the group of people that have been impacted are those who are looking to retire, come out to Spain, buy a full-time property, and Brexit has certainly caused a lot of problems. There's a lot of confusion, so I've waited 3 weeks for this interview, and we're going to finally go and do it today, and hopefully that'll help and throw some light and give some guidance for all of you guys that are very keen out there to, as soon as travel restrictions are lifted, get over from the UK, come over to Spain and find that perfect home to retire to. Hi Alejandro, just wanted to say many thanks for finding the time today to sit and have a chat and go over what has become, a very important topic or an issue of conversation at the moment. And thank you again for allocating the time. Would you first of all be able to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you. Well, I will talk about this company. That is the important thing, not just myself. We are Salvador Tax and Legal. It's a company that we are now in the third generation. It was founded or established in 1969, and one of our big areas of expertise are the foreigners. The foreigners in all aspects. We work and we do everything for them. If you ask about myself, I'm an economist, and I'm more a tax expert than other things, although I know, of course, I know more or less everything that we do at the company. And another thing is I'm also the Honorary Consul, British Consul for the Almeria province.
Behind this interview is to have a look essentially at a couple who are currently over in the UK at the moment, but dreaming of owning a property here in Spain. But there have been lots of changes that have come into effect because of Brexit, and these changes are, to say the least, confusing for a lot of people. So the whole idea of today is to really have a conversation and to try and run through the process, if we can, from the start, what they're going to encounter, what has changed, and go through this right from the very beginning. So if you're happy, I'll start asking you some questions.
All right.
So I'm Mr. and Mrs. Smith now, and I'm in the UK, and I'm waiting for the travel restrictions to be lifted, and I want to come to Spain to buy a property where I'm going to retire and live on a full-time basis, hopefully. So once the restrictions have been lifted, firstly, is it still possible, without applying for a visa, to fly into Spain, but for 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, find a property that I want to buy, purchase, make an offer on that property, and go ahead to purchase it without having to apply for any form of visa?
Yes, of course, yes. Well, as an introduction, we are talking here that these things change because of the consequences of the Brexit. Things we thought that it was not going to come ever, but finally it came, and from the 1st of January, things have changed for those coming from the UK. Now, UK is a third country, it's not included in the Euro, and we need to apply the rules for those countries that are not in Euro. Having said that, we need to tell people that it's not the end of the world, that you, of course, as a British citizen, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, could come, of course, we are now in the COVID thing and with the lockdowns and those things is a bit difficult now. But when this ends, everyone could come to Spain just with your passport. You can come with your passport because it's one of the agreements in the withdrawal agreement, and you can come to Spain with your passport. No need to ask for a visa or for any other kind of permit to come to Spain. The limit that you can stay here now is 90 days, so you can come to Spain and stay 90 days. As you said, you can come to see properties to buy, to stay here with this limit of 90 days.
Also, this is what I thought, it's quite feasible. People came before Brexit, sometimes just for a long weekend, sometimes for 5 days. They find a property, they make an offer, the offer is accepted, and then they can still do that because they don't need a visa unless they're planning to stay for more than 90 days. So that's perfect. Let's say we've now found the property, we've fallen in love with it, we've made our offer, the offer's been accepted, and we're flying back to the UK. I presume that this can still be dealt with as it was prior to Brexit via a good lawyer in Spain using a power of attorney. They could undertake to do the whole completion on your behalf without you actually being in Spain.
Correct. I mean, this nothing changed on that. You can still buy a property the same as it was before. You will have to apply for what we call an IE, and as you said, you can do by coming here and do it by yourself, or if you have as you said, a good solicitor, they can help you in all the process. Nothing changed because of the Brexit in the way you can buy a property in Spain. This is important because people think that because of the UK is a third country right now, it's not in Europe, you can't buy a property, and that's not true. You can buy a property, as you said, a property of the Brits.
Okay, I found the property, the completion has now been done by a lawyer in Spain using a power of attorney, and I want to move over and stay in my property full time. Is it correct that, as the rulings are at the moment, that I can only come for a period of 3 months, 90 days, unless I've got a visa? Is that correct?
Correct. Now you bought the property, and if you don't want to still live permanently in Spain, what you can do is you can come, let's say twice a year. You can come every 180 days and stay for 90 days. So then you will get a stamp on your passport, and that's the way to control when you are here. And the limit to stay here is 90 days. You can go back and then come back again after these 6 months. So every year normally you can come twice to Spain and stay in your house.
So that doesn't work for me because I want to come to Spain, retire, and I want to live full time. So I therefore need a visa. So can we run through this a little bit? So first of all, as a retired couple coming over to live, what type of visa should I be applying for?
Yeah, well, basically we have two options if you want to live, let's say, more permanent in Spain, more than this 90 days rule every 180 days. One is the non-lucrative visa. This visa needs to be applied in the UK, in the Spanish Embassy in London. And with this, the requirements that they ask you to have is they want you to prove that you have enough income or enough savings so you can make your life, at least for this first year, by yourself. We consider minimum this around 30,000 euros for the first person in the family. The second person, spouse or husband, is approximately 7,000. So an amount of 37,000, you commit this requirement. It's important to say that it's not just your pensions or savings or anything. You can prove that with any asset that is liquid and that you can make money on it. And also, as a difference between the previous system, this has to be in some way approved by the Spanish embassy that you committed. Show that you are not going to go to the healthcare system, let's say for free, that you can pay your things with your private insurance. So with these three requirements, then they will approve it or not, and they will give you like a certificate of this visa. Then when you are in Spain, when they give you 3 months to let's say, to formalize, to make this official, you need to go to the foreign office where it's closer to your place or where you are going to live and obtain, let's say, the document or the card that proves that you have this visa. First year, and they will give you for another 2 years, and after that for another 2 years, and then when it's 5 years, you can apply for another extension of 5 years. Right? So this is the first possibility that a person that is looking to live in Spain permanent have got. It's called non-lucrative visa. Is for those that are looking, is what we call golden visa. The golden visa is for those people that are looking to invest part of the money, of the assets in Spain. It's a way of attracting people to live in Spain. If we focus on property, because you can do in other ways, like bonds and those things, the amounts are different, but if we focus on property, if you invest in a property in Spain, or 2 or 3, I mean, it's not, it shouldn't be just one property, 500,000 euros, right, they will give you what we call the golden visa. That is good because they give it to you for 2 years, and they will you can extend it for a number of years. This, as a difference of the non-lucrative visa, need to be asked in Spain, not in England. And as I said, you can invest in one property 500,000 or into properties 250,000 or whatever. And they will give you for your family. It's not just for one person. In case of a couple, will be given for the couple. Or if you have children, your children will be included in this.
All covered under the one visa.
Correct.
Okay, and that has a lot more freedoms, I believe, with this visa. You have a lot more flexibility with the golden visa than perhaps you do with the non-lucrative visa.
Correct. But one thing that I didn't tell about the non-lucrative visa, the word says is that you can't work in Spain. This is just for those that are retired in some way because they go to the age of retirement or because they want to live retired. As a difference with the golden visa that you can work. So for these young people that are looking to come to Spain to live, British, the non-lucrative visa is not for them because they can't work with that.
So going back onto the non-lucrative visa, my understanding is that the application has to be done now by the embassy in the UK, and that they will need to put the proof of income, which, as we've already discussed, it could be that you've got 12,000 available on a credit card. It doesn't have to be a salary from a job. It doesn't have to be pension. It can be a savings amount in the bank. So we've covered that in some detail. You would need to provide that you've got private medical cover for a year at least and paid in advance. You would need to have obviously your passport and your NIE number, same as you did before, and I believe also a copy of your marriage certificate. So let's say that we've now had that non-lucrative visa issued, and I'm now in Spain, and that's going to last me. What does it entitle me to do once I've got this non-lucrative visa? I've got it in my hand, I'm here in Spain for a year. What am I entitled to do with that?
Well, you will get like what they will issue there in the embassy will be like a certificate, like a paper. Then they give you 3 months, and you need to go to the place where you are going to live, where you have your house or the property or the rent or whatever you have, and you have to go to the foreign office of the place where you are going to live, and then with this approval document, because it's an approval document, then they will issue the card that it will be like similar to what the TIE card that people are receiving. It's not exactly the same because you will have a bit more, let's say, restrictions on the time that you can stay here, as we said before, but it should be a similar card. So you have 3 months to go to the foreign office and apply for this.
Okay, so my understanding is that the initial application needs to be made from the UK, and unlike before Brexit, where you could get a third party, i.e. a company like yourselves, to collate this application and submit the application, this cannot be done with the system in place at the moment.
No.
But that once they are in Spain with the application for the non-lucrative visa, and as you said, have to go to the foreign office for the particular region they've opted to either move to or to rent in, you could actually help, your company could help submit that application on their behalf in the regional consulate, correct?
Yeah, well, we are not prepared yet. Maybe we will be in the future to help people to prepare their applications in England, in the UK, but probably in the future we will. But when they are there with the approval of the non-lucrative visa, of course we can help them in the process of obtaining the final document at the foreign offices.
Okay, and just for a point of clarification, because we often get a lot of people coming here who say they are coming to retire, a year later they are bored and the husband decides he's going to take some small work, painting and decorating as an example, or maybe a kitchen fitter or something like this, because he is bored. But the non-lucrative visa does not entitle you to come to Spain and do any form of work.
Nothing, yeah.
Another point of clarification now is that effectively UK citizens coming over, the non-lucrative visa that we've discussed quite a lot is now replacing the residencia. So it is a non-lucrative visa that will be applied for and extended and allow them to stay in Spain on a full-time basis. They will not be getting this non-lucrative visa for a year and then applying for residencia. It will be applying for an extension to this non-lucrative visa.
Correct. We need to forget about what's been happening until the end of last year, 2020. The TIE as we have it now, and as those Brits living in Spain before 2020, now let's say that it's not there anymore, the possibilities that they have is the non-lucrative visa. So you cannot, with the law that we have today, we don't know if they are going to change or there will be an agreement or not. What we have today is that people can't apply anymore for TIA. You need to do on the non-lucrative visa route, or the golden visa, or as I said, you are an employee of a big company where you can get a job. But not anymore with the old system of the TIA or the old residencia, the green card that we used to have when you were a citizen of the European Union.
Yeah, okay. So essentially it's a different system now because there's third country status, so it's the same status as applies to Canadians, to Americans, are now being applied to citizens of the UK since Brexit. Okay, we've clarified that basically as a couple, retired, coming over to apply for the non-lucrative visa, you will need to substantiate, everyone calls it an income, but it's not really an income, but it's an amount of money for a married couple, totaling, as you say, just under €37,000. And then you've got children on top of that, 6,500 to 7,000 for each of the subsequent children. You have to substantiate this, and I think this is very, very important because everyone's thinking this has to be income in terms of a job. Well, if you're coming to retire, that means you're not working, you don't have a job, so therefore you will not have income.
No.
But it doesn't need to be income like that. It can be the balance of a credit card, it can be a pension, it can be, say for example, your grandmother has passed away and she has left you 800,000 in the bank, then this can also be put into that pot. Yeah.
We need to understand that the object of this requirement of this law, what we or whoever wrote that law, what they want is that you can make your life with your money, and you are not going to come here to request social services or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They consider that for the non-lucrative visa, because it's coming from third countries, not European, the limit is that. And you can prove in any way, in the way if you have savings, of course it's your money, it's yours, and they will ask you to prove that this money is yours. That's it. But we understand that pensions sometimes won't be enough, so there will be people, imagine that they sell the house in England and they have these savings, or they inherit from the mama or the mother, and this can be considered not as income, because it's not regular income, but it's your savings, and it's part of your assets, of course, yes.
Perfect. I think that was the key criteria, because I think it's very important to recognise most guys coming over from the UK to retire have normally sold their assets in the UK to finance the move, i.e. they put their house on the market back in the UK, it's now sold, they've got hypothetically 350,000 sterling in the bank, and they come to Spain and they buy a house for 150,000 euros, so they've now got a nice lump sum sitting in the bank. This can be counted as part of that income, this savings that they've got. Fantastic. So another important point, with the old system of residencia, my understanding was that to apply for residencia, which obviously is now changed, you had to substantiate or prove that you had a private medical policy in place, paid for in advance. Once your residencia had been granted after the first year, you could then go onto the Spanish health system. Obviously you had to do an application, but in other words, you didn't have to continue with a private policy. Are we saying now, with this non-lucrative visa, that you will never be able to transfer onto the Spanish medical system? You will always have to have a private policy.
Well, it's not exactly like that. With the old system, those that were retired, when they got the state pension, they had the possibility of getting what we call at that time S1, that it was like a certificate saying that you have the right to get free healthcare in the UK. And what we were doing is we were bringing that right to Spain to get free healthcare.
Reciprocal, yeah.
Reciprocal. And this was again until the end of 2020, and you can't apply anymore for these new guys. For the old people that previously applied for it, they are fine. They will continue getting this free healthcare. And as I agree with you that what you said about the insurance, the private insurance, you will have to continue with it because there will not be this possibility anymore to apply for free healthcare in Spain. You will have to continue with the insurance as long if you want to renew every time that you have to do it. Of course, I will always recommend to have some kind of protection, medical protection. So you don't have the right, Brits anymore, do not have the right to get free healthcare in public hospitals.
Okay. I think that's a very important point because I think it's well known when you are a young guy or a lady and you want private health cover, you know, it's €15 a month or €25 a month. As soon as you turn kind of 55 or the slightest thing goes wrong, then the premiums go flying up, and this can be very, very expensive. Are there companies available in Spain and locally that could do a far more economic policy, you think?
Well, I'm not an expert on that, but it's true that I agree with you that when you get older or you have a previous illness or something, it will be more expensive. I think that probably in Spain is cheaper than if you want to do the same in England, but yes, when you get older, it's more expensive to get it, and this will be certainly a handicap for those that are old that they want to be covered.
Okay. Going back onto this reapplication, which you're going to have to make for this non-lucrative visa, as if I understood this correctly, the first one entitles you to a year, then you will need to go back and reapply within that year or coming towards the end, and it will be an extension the next time of 2 years.
Correct.
So each time you make this application, which you will need to substantiate that you still have the available money in the bank, the 37,000 is still there, because every time you need to refresh the application, you will need to prove this income again.
Correct. You will have to prove that you commit still the requirements, yes.
Yeah, and so therefore that will carry on indefinitely. Where if you looked at the system before, you know, I'm now a Spanish resident, I made my application, I have my green card and etc. I do not have to go back every year and say I'm still earning this money, I still have this income, but from now on, because of Brexit, everybody who extends this visa will have to prove this income all the time they want to stay in Spain.
Correct, yes, at least these renewals every 1 year at the beginning, then every 2 years. But you will have to, it's important to understand that, imagine when you need to renew for 2 years, you don't have to prove that you have for 2 years. You will have to prove that for that year you will have that money or that income. And then after these 5 years, the extension will be another 5 years. So it's not that you have to come every time or every year with the money in your pocket. But yes, we hope that when these things come to a place, and maybe when there are negotiations between Spain, that's my opinion. I will not say that there is anything official, of course, but maybe there will be something to make things easier. Because of course Spain do want the British to continue coming to Spain and live in Spain. The UK people probably, I'm sure that they like Spain and they want to continue coming. So probably, I don't know, I hope that in the future things will be, let's say, easier for those that want to come. But what is the message that I'm sure you want to say, and I need to say, is that you can still come to Spain, you can still buy a property, you can stay 3 months here, that maybe you know people that they do that. They just come twice a year, they go back in the summer.
Yeah, very much.
So that should be the message, that not everyone would need to apply for a visa, a non-lucrative visa, because you have the option of staying 4 or 5 months in a calendar year, which is sometimes a lot.
I think that was almost going to be my final point, if you like. I think I think it is. You know, it's been wonderful having this conversation today, but I think that there's a big positive to come from this. Yes, it is still possible to come. Yes, there are solutions to it, and you know, from my side of the fence, I can see that there's still a very big passion for people. You know, my inbox is full up every single day with people emailing to say, I can't wait to come, I can't wait to come. But obviously they have a lot of questions, and I think we've covered a lot of these points today in the interview. So what can I say? Thank you very much indeed for your time, and much appreciated.
You are welcome, thank you.
Hi again, guys. First of all, many thanks once again to Alejandro there from Grupo Salvador for taking the time to do the last interview that you've just watched. Appreciate it was a little bit lengthy, but we had some fairly complex issues that are about as clear as mud to go over, and hopefully we've been able to put some clarity there and lay out what are, let's be honest, fairly complicated procedural changes that have come into place since Brexit. But I think one thing I'd like to add before we close this is that it is still possible to purchase a property here and to come over and to live a fantastic life in Spain on a full-time basis. I appreciate for many, with these changes to procedure and the new requirements, it's going to feel that you've had your dream snatched, but really guys, you haven't. Hold on to what motivated you in the first instance to want to move to Spain, France, Portugal, a home in the sunshine. Hold on to that, keep the spark, and it is going to be doable. Yes, it's going to take more time. Yes, there's going to be more issues involved, but ultimately you will get there, and we hope to see you in Spain in the near future.